On a Sunday morning, as gentle sunlight streamed through the windows, Linda Williams was reviewing work documents in her home office. As a senior manager at Boston Consulting Group, quiet work time on weekend mornings had become her routine. The aroma of still warm Dunkin' coffee wafted up from her desk. While organizing stacks of papers, she glanced out the window. The rose bush she had just bought from Whole Foods yesterday sparkled with morning dew. She had finally managed to tend to the garden last weekend, and the landscape was starting to look worthy of this house she'd purchased with her parents' help. There was still some time before service at Trinity Church in Copley Square. The peaceful moment was suddenly shattered by her iPhone's ring. "Linda, can you come over today?" It was her sister Patricia. Linda let out a small sigh at her usual imperious tone. "I'm hosting the family for brunch. Mom's coming too. I've ordered catering from Legal Seafoods." An hour later, Linda was visiting Patricia's mansion. The colonial-style house in Brookline's quiet residential area commanded an imposing presence, as always. A brand-new Range Rover, her sister and brother-in-law's pride and joy, was parked in the driveway. "Welcome, Linda," her mother Carol greeted her. The Tiffany silver necklace swayed gently at her elegant neck. "Patricia has prepared such a lovely brunch. She's really living well since marrying into this family." Auntie Lynn. The twins, Emma and Olivia, came running up. As Linda hugged the two girls in their matching Gap kids dresses, she inwardly sighed. The discomfort she felt whenever visiting her sister's house had only grown stronger over the years. Entering the living room, she was met with a modern space that had reportedly been designed by a professional interior decorator. The marble dining table was laden with lobster croissant sandwiches and truffle-flavored eggs Benedict. "I'm the star today," Patricia made her grand entrance. Dressed in a new Louis Vuitton dress, she struck a pose clearly intended for social media. Her husband Michael was, as usual, absorbed in reading news on his iPad. "Actually, I have wonderful plans," Patricia announced, holding a mimosa and Dom Perignon. "We've decided to take a family trip to Hawaii next month. Michael's company is doing well, and isn't this the perfect time?" "What?" When Linda showed her surprised expression, Patricia flashed a malicious smile. "Surely you're not planning to keep playing the single career woman forever? You need to spend time with family occasionally. When I saw you at Copley Place the other day, you looked exhausted." "Patricia," their mother raised her voice in what seemed like admonishment, but it was merely for show. Carol's attention had already shifted to taking photos of the food for Instagram. "Auntie Lynn, come to Hawaii with us. We're staying at the Disney Hotel in Oahu." At the twins' innocent voices, Linda made up her mind. She had accumulated miles from a recent business class sale anyway. "Yes, of course. I haven't been to Hawaii in a while." On the table, the twins' iPads were already playing videos of Hawaiian beach resorts. On the morning of departure, Linda woke up earlier than usual. The clock showed 7 a.m. She double-checked the sunscreen and new swimsuit she'd bought at Walgreens the day before. As she confirmed her reservation on the American Airlines app, the Boston Morning Sun reflected off her MacBook. While munching on a bagel, she recalled last night. Patricia's text message had only included a final confirmation of boarding time and a casual note saying, "Tomorrow will be a wonderful memory. Starting a fun family vacation today." Though she tried to say it cheerfully to herself, something still nagged at her heart. Checking the time while reviewing photos of the Waikiki hotel she'd looked up on TripAdvisor, Linda loaded her Toyota RAV4 and drove through Boston's streets. The roads, usually congested, were clear on this Saturday morning. The car radio was broadcasting Hawaii's weather forecast. Boston seemed determined to match with its own humid weather. Boston Logan Airport was bustling with travelers. As Linda wheeled her new carry-on toward the check-in counter, she overheard a family in front of her discussing their Disney vacation package. "Good morning. The 9:45 flight to Honolulu. Your name, please?" "Linda Williams." Linda presented her platinum card. The counter agent's expression subtly changed. The sound of keyboard typing paused momentarily. "I'm very sorry, Ms. Williams. Your reservation was canceled in the system last night." "What? That's impossible." The confirmation email. "The Brown party completed their check-in about 30 minutes ago." Her mind went blank. She frantically pulled out her iPhone 14 Pro and called Patricia. No answer. Michael's number went straight to voicemail. Just then, a new message notification appeared on her screen. "Take care of the children. We need some time." Then came a photo. The twins sitting on a bench in front of the airport Starbucks. Emma clutching a pink teddy bear from Build-A-Bear, Olivia's cheeks wet with tears. The two holding hands, their expressions filled with anxiety and fear. Emma. Olivia. Linda ran desperately through the airport. Her mind raced with questions. Why would Patricia do this? Were the rumors about Michael's company true? Why hadn't her mother warned her? "Excuse me. I'm looking for 5-year-old twin girls. Blonde, wearing Gap Kids dresses." She rushed toward the food court, asking passing airport staff. Messages from Patricia kept arriving on her smartphone. "The children are in your care. The 529 plan documents are in the safe at home. This is our last chance, Michael and I." Finally reaching the food court area, she heard a small voice. "Auntie Lynn." The two were sitting on a bench beside the escalator, in a spot somewhat hidden from view. "It's okay, now. I'll protect you." The twins' bodies trembled in her embrace. Massport officials had begun gathering around. "Mama said she'd be right back." Emma's trembling voice left Linda with nothing to do but hold her tighter. "They said they were going to take the shuttle bus, then Mama and Papa never came back." Olivia's words brought anger to Linda's eyes. "Ma'am, could we speak with you at the security office?" A man in a Massport uniform quietly approached. His badge gleamed with Logan Airport Police. "We'll get some hot chocolate and cookies for the children." A female staff member smiled kindly at the twins. Her name tag had a Student Ambassador Program pin. Linda checked her handbag for the series of messages Patricia had sent. The cold tone suggesting premeditated action made her blood boil. Outside the window, a Boeing 787 bound for Hawaii climbed into the blue sky. Her sister and brother-in-law were likely sitting inside, feeling no guilt whatsoever. Linda heaved a deep sigh. This was turning out to be a very different kind of family trip than she had imagined. 12 hours after the incident, an exhausted atmosphere hung in Linda's living room. They had just returned home after completing police interviews and meetings with Children's Protective Services. "Emma, Olivia, come here. The bath is ready," Linda called gently. But the twins remained huddled together on the sofa, unwilling to move. Beside scattered crayons and coloring books lay a half-eaten McDonald's Happy Meal. "Auntie Lynn," Emma called out in a small voice. "Are Mama and Papa really not coming back?" Linda's heart clenched. The police had confirmed that Patricia and Michael had boarded as scheduled and arrived in Honolulu. Their credit card records showed they had checked into the Hilton Hawaiian Village. "I can't believe it." Linda's mother Carol had rushed over, apparently leaving a church women's group meeting midway. Her usually perfectly styled hair was disheveled. That Patricia would do such a thing. Just then, Linda's iPhone rang. It was a detective from the Boston Police Department. "Ms. Williams, have you heard any concerning conversations from the children?" Linda recalled the twins' words at the airport. "Yes, Emma mentioned that Mama and Papa were fighting about money. And I believe Olivia." The next morning, after dropping the twins off at the nearby Brookline Public Schools, Linda headed to Patricia's house. A police search warrant had been issued, and Linda was permitted to accompany them. A uniformed officer led them to the second-floor study. "Take a look at this." Masses of documents were found in the drawers of the expensive leather desk. Piles of unpaid bills, credit card statements, and financial documents from Michael's company. The rumors of the company's financial troubles in the Boston Globe were true. "This is..." Linda couldn't believe her eyes when she saw the Fidelity account statement. The 529 plan set up for the twins' education had been reduced to just $1. Over $500,000 in funds had been withdrawn over the past 3 months. The closet yielded box after box of Hermes, Chanel, and Louis Vuitton items, still with tags attached. Patricia's Instagram was filled with posts portraying happy family life. But behind that facade, she had been consuming the twins' future. "Linda, there's this too." The officer handed her a torn envelope. Inside were bank statements from the Cayman Islands. "Ms. Williams," the detective called out. "We've found significant transfer records under your mother Carol's name." Just then, Linda's smartphone vibrated. It was from Trinity Church. "Linda, something terrible has happened." Her mother's voice was strained. "Patricia took the women's group fees, and used my name." As it turned out, Patricia had also been the treasurer for the church women's group. There was a high possibility of fraud there too. She had been embezzling membership fees using their mother Carol's name. This was completely premeditated, Linda told the police. Hours later, Linda sat in her living room, compiling all the evidence. Her mother was being interviewed at the church, and the twins were safely attending their after-school program. The Boston Police Department detective called again. "We've discovered something significant. It appears they had no intention of returning to the mainland." Linda caught her breath. "What do you mean?" "We found one-way ticket reservations to the Caribbean." That night, Linda had made up her mind. Spread across her dining table were reports for the police, FBI, Child Protective Services, and Sarah Cohen, one of the nation's top child abandonment attorneys. "Auntie Lynn," Olivia's voice came from upstairs. Can we go to school tomorrow too? Of course, Linda smiled at the twins. Life will continue as normal. I promise. Opening her MacBook, Linda sent the final report to the police. Attached were Patricia's Instagram posts portraying the perfect mother, photos of the airport abandonment, and records of all financial transactions. She was determined to fight to protect her precious family. Today, the FBI has joined the investigation as a serious child abandonment case. The detective's final words strengthened Linda's resolve even further. Outside the window, Boston's nightscape glowed quietly. On the table lay the twins' craft project from after-school care, to our beloved Auntie Lynn. Looking at those words, Linda heaved a deep sigh. Early morning, 1 week after the incident, at the top floor of the Hilton Hawaiian Village in Oahu. Patricia was enjoying her morning coffee on the balcony. Looking down at the azure sea, she was selecting photos to post on Instagram. Patricia, we need to talk. Michael approached with a tense expression, clutching his iPad. About the company, everyone. Just then, a knock echoed at the suite door. When they opened it, more than 10 law enforcement officers stood there. An FBI agent began reading their rights. Outside the window, an ABC News helicopter circled. I have nothing to say. Let me call my lawyer. Patricia maintained her elegant demeanor until the end. However, tickets to the Cayman Islands were found in her Louis Vuitton bag. This is a federal crime, the agent's voice was cold. You're charged with interstate child abandonment, embezzlement, and money laundering. 2 weeks later, at the Boston U.S. Attorney's Office, Linda was meeting with prosecutors. Ms. Williams, we have sufficient evidence, said Jessica Morrison, a prosecutor with over 20 years of experience. Particularly, the misappropriation of education funds will decisively turn the jury against them. The conference room table was piled with evidence. Starting with Logan Airport security camera footage, church women's group accounting records, documents showing fraudulent accounting at Michael's company. Additionally, there was Patricia's history of false social media posts, detailed psychological diagnoses from the twins' counselor. As decisive evidence, there were records of fraudulent withdrawals from the Fidelity 529 plan, and multiple financial transaction documents with forged signatures from Mother Carol. The prosecution, Morrison continued, will charge them primarily with federal child abandonment violations, adding fraud charges for misuse of education funds, and embezzlement for misappropriation of church funds. We'll also include charges of document forgery for forging the mother's signature, money laundering related to the Cayman Islands accounts, and conspiracy charges for the couple's planned scheme. The sentence? Linda asked. Maximum 20 years for Patricia, Morrison answered sternly. For Michael, 7 to 15 years, depending on his level of cooperation. That evening, Linda took the twins to their psychological counseling session at Boston Children's Hospital. The children's recovery will take time, explained Dr. Sarah Watson, their physician. Particularly, abandonment by a mother creates deep emotional wounds. 1 month later, at the Suffolk County Courthouse, Patricia and Michael's initial hearing began. Local media packed the gallery, and the Boston Globe featured the case on its front page. Defendants, please rise. The judge's voice echoed through the courtroom. Patricia wore an orange prison jumpsuit. Her former arrogant demeanor had vanished, and her makeup-free face showed fatigue. Patricia began. The courtroom fell silent. I admit to everything. Her confession began. At first, when I learned about Michael's company's critical situation. Patricia's voice trembled. But that's no excuse. I abandoned my children. Her testimony lasted 3 hours. It all started, she said, with her pride as a mama influencer. Misappropriating education funds to maintain a luxurious lifestyle, embezzling church funds to cover debt payments, forging her mother's signature for new loans. And finally, the escape plan for a new life in the Caribbean. She admitted that at the root of it all was her hatred for Linda's stable life. Michael, who took the stand next, admitted to everything. The company had been essentially bankrupt for 2 years, his voice was hollow. But I couldn't tell Patricia. Her lifestyle. Carol took the witness stand as the prosecution's final witness. I trusted my eldest daughter too much, her voice was filled with remorse. I betrayed the church members, hurt Linda, and most of all, my grandchildren. On the day of sentencing, the courtroom was filled with tension. Defendant Patricia Brown, the judge's voice resonated. Your actions represent the gravest breach of trust. You abandoned your children, betrayed your family's trust, and even deceived your church community. After the sentencing, a press conference was held on the courthouse steps. This is certainly not a result to be proud of, Linda spoke quietly into the microphones. But justice has been served. Most importantly, the children's future has been protected. At dusk in Boston, Linda and the twins walked through Boston Common. Auntie Lynn, Emma called out softly. We'll always be together, right? Yes, of course, Linda squeezed the twins' hands firmly. We'll walk forward as a new family. 2 weeks after the sentencing, in the visiting room of Massachusetts Women's Correctional Institution. Linda momentarily faltered at the sight of her sister sitting behind the reinforced glass. Patricia in her orange prison uniform had completely lost her former glamour. Her skin, once polished with branded skincare products, was ashen, and her perfectly maintained blonde hair was thin and damaged from prison-issue shampoo. Linda. Patricia's voice was hoarse. I did something unforgivable. Yes, Linda answered quietly. She had wrestled with the decision to visit many times. But this might be their last face-to-face meeting. This visit was necessary to understand everything and to settle something within herself. How are the children? Tears welled up in Patricia's eyes. They don't want to see me. Yes, I think that's best for now, Linda recalled the counselor's advice. The children's emotional recovery would take time. The clock in the visiting room ticked quietly. A brief 15-minute visit. During this time, the sisters reflected on their lives, their childhood in a wealthy family, Patricia who bore all of their mother's expectations, and Linda who had always remained in the shadows like a wallflower. Remember? When we were little, in the Back Bay house. Patricia's voice trailed off. If only we could go back to those days. On her way home, Linda walked through Boston Common. As early autumn made its presence felt in the park, she contemplated the first steps of her new life. At home, big changes were underway. The former guest room had been transformed into a bright children's bedroom. Matching beds from Pottery Barn, cheerful bookshelves from IKEA, and colorful curtains from Target's Cat and Jack collection. Everything was for the twins. "Auntie Lynn, is this room really ours?" Emma asked with an expression of disbelief. "Can we stay here forever?" "Of course. This is your new room," Linda hugged the twins tenderly. The adoption proceedings were progressing smoothly. The court supported the adoption by their biological aunt. There were changes at work too. Boston Consulting Group had shown understanding of Linda's situation. She could now utilize flex time and sometimes work from home. A new position was also being discussed. Unexpected support networks had also emerged. Jennifer, a single mother living nearby, offered to help with after-school pickup and drop-off. The Trinity Church community delivered home-cooked meals. The counselor at Brookline Public Schools showed special consideration for the twins' emotional care. "Time will heal some things," Mother Carol had said. She too was changing. Through her church volunteer work, she seemed to have awakened to new values. Now she baked cookies with the twins on weekends. 1 year later, in early summer, the twins' 6th birthday party was being held in Linda's backyard. Organic cake from Whole Foods, homemade lemonade, and the laughter of neighborhood children created a simple but heartwarming scene. "Happy birthday!" Emma and Olivia beamed with happiness, surrounded by their classmates. Their former anxious expressions were nowhere to be seen. That night, after putting the children to bed, Linda went out to the garden. Under the starlit sky, she smiled quietly. On the table lay essays written by the twins. The theme was my family. They began with the words, "To my beloved mom," expressing their honest feelings. Patricia, in prison, was reportedly working earnestly on rehabilitation programs. Michael was serving his sentence in a different facility, and their divorce had already been finalized. Letters from them occasionally arrived for the twins. However, they remained unopened, waiting for the day when the children would choose to read them themselves. In Linda's desk drawer was a letter. A dinner invitation from a rising pediatrician in Boston. It had started with the twins' regular checkups. His gentle gaze and thoughtful consideration for the children had kindled a small warmth in Linda's heart. Christmas night. A large tree sparkled in Linda's living room. 3 stockings hung above the fireplace. In the corner, sheet music for the twins' lessons lay atop their new piano. "Love you, Mom," the twins' words before falling asleep brought tears to Linda's eyes. "I love you too." Outside the window, snow had begun falling quietly. It seemed to herald a fresh white page in the story of their new family.